You know, there's a lot of things that we've got to learn about our RVs. And one of the things I'd like to take you through is about our propane tanks. The reason I wanted to bring this to you is because, well, sometimes your propane tank may be going empty and you don't even know it. So I have a couple of different ways that we measure ours, but one of them which I really wanted to show y'all. And that is, how can you measure the weight of your tank and actually come up with how much propane is left in it? Now, before we get into all that, hang in there for this amazing B-roll, and then I'll be right back. You know, there are different ways to be able to tell, but today, like I said before, we're gonna go over one way that you can tell if your tanks are full or not. To do that, we need a scale, you know, the kind that you step on to see how much you weigh. We also need the propane tanks and a couple of weight information. So let's go into the different weights that we need to know, and then we'll go from there on how to calculate it. Now, the reason that it's really good to know what those weights are is because it's going to be calculated in our math. What we're going to actually do is take the weight of the tank and we're going to weigh it on a scale. We're going to take that weight and we're going to subtract the actual weight of the tank if it was empty. And then with the leftover number, we're going to divide that by the weight of what a gallon of propane would weigh. So with that being said, this tank weighs 21.5 pounds if it was empty. Now, if we go and weigh it and we end up with, say, 30 pounds total from the scale, then we will subtract the 21.5 pounds from that, and we would end up with 8.5 pounds. So what you would do is take 8.5, divide that by 4.25, and that would be how many gallons that you have left in the tank. Now, for our RV, we have 30-pound propane tanks, which means that we can hold up to 7 gallons in the tank. Now, if your RV only has the 30-pound tanks, then those tanks only have about 4.5 gallons in them. So if you measure it and you weigh it and you know about how many gallons you have left versus how many gallons you should have, then you know what you've consumed. So now we'll go ahead and take this propane tank and we'll put it on the scale like this. And now that we have this final number, let's go ahead and do the math over here on the side of the screen. Now you can see here that we take the actual weight of the propane tank itself with the propane inside from the scale. We're going to take that and then we're going to take the information that we know about the tank's tare weight, which is the actual tank's weight without any propane. We're going to do the math there to see what the weight left over is. Now with that weight left over, we're going to divide that by the weight of what a propane weighs per pound. Now with the final figure, we know about how many gallons or what we have left of propane in our tank. Like I said before, our tanks are 30-pound propane tanks, which means that we can hold approximately 6.5 to 7 gallons. Now you notice here that we only have about 1/3 of a gallon left, which means that we need to get these tanks refilled. Now let's do the other propane tank. Now we're going to do the math here the same way. We're going to take the weight of the propane tank, subtract the actual tank's weight without any propane in it, and you can see here through all the math, we have approximately 6.5 gallons of propane left in this tank. Now, we haven't used this tank at all. 6.5 gallons out of 7 isn't bad, depends on who fills it up. But you can see how the math works. All right, you can see there that the math is actually really easy. And as long as you have a scale to put it on so you can do all your weights, it'll actually get you really accurate about how much you have. Now I know there's different systems out there. There's ones that you can actually screw onto the propane tank itself and tell about how much it has in it. You also have the other kinds that you can put a magnet on the bottom and it'll report out on some kind of Bluetooth device and all that stuff. But if you have a simple scale and a little bit of math with you, you don't have to spend all that money. All you gotta do is take the tank, do the weights, do the math, and you know about how much propane you have left. Now, another suggestion that I have is that you have a logbook. It's good to write down on that logbook about how much time you've been using the propane tank, what you've been using the propane tank for, like your oven or your heat or anything like that. And you can track about how much propane that your RV uses over a certain amount of time, And over time, you'll start to learn about how much your tanks can provide to how long of a time that you have before you really need to start paying attention to the next time it needs a refill. Now, with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the video right here. I hope you got to learn a little bit of something today, and I hope you enjoyed the video. And until the next time, as always, keep it safe. Make sure you keep them propane tanks full, and God bless. All right, y'all can go home. You can leave now. I'm leaving. I'm going back, I promise. Bye. You're still here. I told you, I'm going back in my RV. All right, I'll see you later. Bye. All right, y'all need to go now. Bye.